Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have Courtney Gowin coming in today, and she is not at home. She's in Cabo, and Luke and I are coming in from the beautiful western slope of Colorado, Grand Junction. And this is episode 269. And we're really, really excited to have you onto our show today. I just want to throw a big shout out to Rosemary Batansky for connecting Courtney and Team Hustle together. And I'm really looking forward to sharing your story on episode 269 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. So welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's so fun to be here and to get to know you a little bit more. I'm excited for our interview today. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and I know that there was like a lot of excitement and some good chatter before we actually like hit the go button today. So I think that
too much good chatter. I know. It's a good time.
And I know that a lot of people are gonna like learn from this episode. You have some amazing things that you're doing with Nest and, you know, the book Barefoot Mama, and you raise your own beef and 3 kids, all home birth. And I know that that's going to be what people are going to learn from you today. But the thing that most people stick around for, even if they don't listen to the whole episode, they stick around for the first question.
Yeah.
And what is your chiropractic story? I don't know it yet. So if you would share your chiropractic story, what inspired you to become a chiropractor, I'm sure everybody would be happy to hear that story.
No, and I think all of us as chiropractors, we have such a dynamic story and kind of what leads us here. And it's literally, I mean, that sounds so cliche, but chiropractic chooses all of us. I feel like it's a very spiritual profession. And so through my journey, I was a college athlete, had an injury, and then through the grace of God, found a chiropractor, and then that began my transformation. And so with that transformation, it was not just chiropractic, it was the philosophy. It was the change in mindset, and it was the realization that my body could heal and that there was power within me to change not only my life, but other people's life. And so stepping into my practice, I started it with $6,000 and $54 in my bank account. And so from those student loans, I bought a table, I did a reno, and I bought water coolers for 25 cents and started this practice with a dream and zero money. And like you said, Jim, it's hustle. And so I have people ask me, they're like, what's your superpower? And I'm like, it's hustle, man. Like you have to learn the hustle. And it's like the true grit. And then, so fast forward 2 years into practice, and I just felt the need for expansion. And I had just had my first daughter. And honestly, I'm just going to get real. I was very alone, and I was suffering from postpartum depression. And I've only been doing this for 8 years or so. And through every pain, through every heartache, there comes something great. It's something that whenever we go through labor, we go through birth, I reference that a lot because that's my jam. But there was a lot of pain in that postpartum depression time. And I was able to birth something that has transformed thousands of lives. So within that, I really do believe God has had his hand in this whole time of being a chiropractor, even with my lowest point of having an injury and getting me into chiropractic to the postpartum depression. And I was called up to my landlord's room, and she said, hey, we're leaving. You can either take over this 3-story beautiful Victorian home, because I was in the basement. I started in the basement, you guys. And or you can get kicked out. And so she allowed me to take over all 3 levels. And I went home at night and I prayed about it. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a dream. And I was like, the nest, it has to be the nest. And so through that, and at the time I was just not well mentally. And I brought in a community, and it was through my community. I brought in a midwife. We have 4 massage therapists, a naturopath, a pelvic floor PT, an esthetician, a newborn photographer. We have all these amazing people that I brought into my life, and it broke me out of that depression. And so being able to see the power of community is something that we've created within the Nest, and it's been amazing to see. And then stepping into my next purpose in life, I feel like, which was what we're stepping into now, of went through a lot of hard times and trials and birthed this 400-page natural pregnancy book. And then through that, birthed the Barefoot Retreat. So I just feel like I'm getting started, and I'm stepping into my purpose within chiropractic, because I gave myself permission to live a big life. So that's in a nutshell. It could go over like another 2 hours with a glass of wine, but man, it definitely has been transformative. And so any chiropractor out there, if you're in a low point, just know that God's using that to refine you and to step into your greatness. So I don't know if that's any encouragement, but that's just been my journey so far.
Well, are you familiar with John D.
Oh, big mentor of mine. Absolutely.
Okay, because it sounds like you're talking out of his playbook.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole chiropractic journey in school, every Wednesday I would sit on the floor of my mentor and we would read the green books and we'd talk philosophy for 3 hours. And we saved up enough money and we flew John DeMartini into us for a little private talk for 20 people. And I remember sitting on the floor listening to him, just everything he said ringing so true to my soul. And it was just such a transformative experience. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's super powerful. And to turn a few pages back, what sport
Yeah.
were you playing in college that you injured yourself with?
I played college basketball. So we were on our way to go play Texas Tech. And I was like starting five, freshman, like doing so good. And then God was like, nope, you're getting a little too cocky, girlfriend. He knocked me on my ass. He was like, nope, not today. And it just all of us are chiropractors here. So diagnosed with spinal stenosis. And so they wanted to go in, they wanted to do injections and possible surgery. And it was just it was crazy when you're 18 years old, you don't know what to do and you're terrified. But innately, I knew that wasn't me. And I just knew that there was something different, that I knew that I could heal and I didn't know how. So yeah, college basketball.
And how long did it take you to get back into playing again?
It was 6 weeks, I remember. And then I just knew whenever I was getting adjusted, I could play. And then whenever I was not getting adjusted, I was literally on the sideline with my legs up. And it was so crazy. Long story, but ended up transferring to Abilene Christian and had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And they ended up having a pre-chiropractic tract. And I was like, oh, I think that this is something that I could probably do. And then found my way. It's crazy. So it chose me, but I think through a lot of labor pains and through a lot of shift in my mindset, I was being prepared for it.
That's a really cool story. I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of student athletes and a
Yeah,
lot of people
absolutely.
that are like, I'm out of school. I don't got any
Mm-hmm.
money. I don't know how to
Yeah.
start a practice. That,
Yeah.
that part resonates too.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I'm like, I was the smallest forward in a D1 conference, but my coach was like, hey, you're a number one hustler. Like I was the only one on the team that wore knee pads. That's so embarrassing. I wore knee pads because I was like always on the floor, always diving, always hustling. And I made up for like my size with my hustle. I think that rings true. Like I carry that all the way into business is if things are hard, if things are not going the way that you want to, shift your mind and hustle it out. Like, let's go. It's up to you. It's your mindset. And so that college athlete comes out in me, in birth, in business, in babies, whatever it is, it sticks with you,
Well, transitioning back to Luke and I's story,
Yeah.
we started our little hustle in a
Mm-hmm.
700 square foot apartment, one bedroom.
Yes.
And
That's
it was
awesome.
right across the street from Denver University.
Amazing.
And yeah, here we are today. And it's just been quite a dream. And just
Yeah.
listening to your dream story, that if you just
Yeah.
work hard, you build a
Yes.
community around you
Mm-hmm.
and you insulate yourself with great people.
Yes,
And when you insulate
absolutely.
yourself with great people, great opportunities present themselves because,
Yes.
I've always been told you can either, I think it's a Les Brown quote, you can
Oh,
cluck with the chickens or you can soar with the eagles.
yep, exactly. I just heard Les Brown 2 weekends ago. Man, that man is amazing. I think he's one of the coolest people. But yeah, I
Well,
think what you said is insulating your people, insulating yourself with people who believe in your dream and the vision that you cast. Like I have big vision, I have big dreams. Like there's some things that I want to do in this life that it requires the people that you surround yourself to buy into that and to believe in you, and you bring them along this amazing journey with you. So like
well,
my team, like we're here in Cabo right now, like they're bought into the vision.
well, when you
So it's
when you get
good.
a brief moment, Dr. Courtney, go and check out Chiro Hustle. We actually interviewed Les Brown for our show.
Oh,
And and
I will.
and we
Yes.
actually interviewed John DeMartini. So
Oh, okay. I'll
a,
check
cou-
that out.
a couple of the
Absolutely.
greats.
What an
Grace,
honor too.
yeah,
I feel like I'd
right.
be too nervous. I'd be like, hey.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I very rarely get nervous, but
Yeah.
we interviewed Guy Reekman last Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
and I was nervous.
He's amazing. I know. And those people, they have such a presence. And what Les Brown said that just lit a fire, he was like, he goes, I'm 76 and I'm not done yet. Like I've got this vision, I got this fire. And it was so like intoxicating to be in that presence of like, you're not done when you retire. Like you have a purpose within you to keep going and to serve the world until your last breath. That's how I want to live my life. I don't want to be retired. I mean, I could be drinking coffee on the porch in Cabo, but at the same time, like I think that whenever you live with purpose, you live a true life. I think it's so important to always stay on purpose.
So what would be some advice you'd give to someone if they wanted to get more patients and sign them for long-term care?
And I think we kind of talked about that. It's insulating yourself with a good team. And so our team, what we've created at Free to Be and the Nest is a culture. We've created a culture that people love and they feel surrounded in. I had a patient, she booked a new patient consult a few weeks ago, and she'd been coming in for 2 or 3 years. And I kind of left it. I didn't realize like why, maybe it was a mistake on her booking. She was in a hurry, but she took me into the consult room and she was starting to tear up. And I kind of sat down with her. I said, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?" And she looked at me and she was like, "Through this pandemic, you're the only reason I'm alive." And she was like, "You're the only person who lays hands on me. You're the only person who speaks love to me. You're the only person who sees me for who I am. My church doesn't even lay hands on me anymore." And so I think we get so caught up in this, oh, we got to get new patients, we got to sign them up. But I think when you are reminded to the core of what we do, we're transforming lives and we're changing lives. And when I started this profession, I said, if I could change just one person's life, this would all be worth it. And so I feel like we just go into our offices and we love every person one at a time. Jim Parker, like loving service is my first technique. And so whenever you step into that room, present time consciousness, laying your hand on those people and your energy, you change their life. And whenever you're operating in that mindset, they stay, they feel loved, and they become a part of your tribe. And so what we created is a tribe of people. We do community together. We do life together. We throw parties for them. We have farmers markets. Like we do so many fun things at our office. And this is kind of funny because I've never run my business like a chiropractor. I've modeled it after Lululemon and Southwest Airlines because I love their culture. I love their grassroots movement. I love everything that they've kind of stood for. And so I've modeled my business after that. And so you're not worried about the long-term care if you treat them right and you love them and you're very intentional with them. And the people who don't need to be there, they don't stick around, like don't take it personally.
You said something there, and I've modeled a lot of what we've done based on an old franchise called Old Chicago.
Oh,
and
nice.
Become a double bagger. Don't let the bottom of the bag fall out.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
share the secret. If you know something that can help somebody else, tell them how what you've done can help them.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Obviously, learning from Southwest and Lulu, like you've built some structure and some stability within your modeling that now people are learning from you. And that's where they're learning this big idea.
Absolutely.
I was just out speaking in Atlantic City at the Genesis Pediatric Conference.
Yeah,
and the guy next to me with Imaging Services, an x-ray company, I was like, "Bro, now check it out. If you want to get more customers, give them 2 business cards and say, this one's for you, and give this to somebody else that can benefit from my services too."
100%.
That's the Jim Parker standard.
Yeah, 100%. And always have a business card on you. That's a Jim Parker. Like, don't ever be caught with that one. Don't ever. That's important. No, I completely agree. And too, like business cards, like business model, like I give a stack of my business cards to my best patients that are pregnant. I said, "Give this to your OB. Tell them how amazing I am." And like they crack up and they're like, "Oh, heck yeah." And they do it. All of them do it. It's crazy. And so that's how we've kind of built relationships like within the medical model too. But yeah, like what you were saying.
You developed your avatar.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an avatar. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's important to know your ideal.
Yeah. And that's something about marketing. I mean, we don't even have to talk about marketing because marketing is just creating your own movement.
It is. Yeah.
And creating a brand that people can believe in.
And it'd be such a self-reflection and so like such an, what am I trying to say? Like a reflection of who you are. It has to be authentic. Like people have tried to copy and do what I do, but I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. You'll do great. But it's not them. Like it has to be completely you. You have to dig down deep. You have to go through some shit and then realize and uncover what you're made of and what your purpose is. And whenever you step into that, that's whenever people are like, oh, wow, this feels different. This is amazing. And I think that's whenever you start to step into your purpose, and that's your marketing, is
Your
being radically yourself.
your brand is your culture.
Yes, yes. And culture is the most important thing.
And that's not only the healing culture inside of the practice, but that's that third party validation with that word of mouth to the OBs saying, you
Yeah,
know what, this girl's the bee's knees.
yeah.
She takes care
Booze
of
news.
people. She takes care of people.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what it's all about. Is I can't remember the doc that we interviewed, but his philosophy is called taking care of people.
Hmm.
And when you take care of people, that's a direct reflection of the service that you provide.
Yeah, and that's what we're called to do as chiropractors. Everybody got into this profession to help and to heal and to be a part of something greater. And I think that whenever we realize that and go back to our roots of what we're doing, all of the other stuff kind of fades away.
His name is Robert Brooks, by the way.
Okay, nice, good to know. Taking notes.
So, what are some things that you're doing for your own health and your family's health?
Really good question. And I think as chiropractors, especially as women, so I'm very passionate about just women's health as chiropractors as we grow a business and grow families. You know, like it's so easy as women, we kind of step into this male dominated model, and we're trying to run a 6-figure business, 7-figure business, and then we're trying to raise babies and cook and clean a house and find the balance within life. So I'm creating a model through the barefoot community that puts women together in community that are growing businesses and growing families, but they're also balanced and grounded. So what we did as a family, this is kind of crazy, but it's also where Barefoot Mama came from. If you go on the website, I'm like holding chickens and like bottle feeding goats. Like, I brought my family. I bought a 5-acre farm south of Dallas, and we don't have we don't have internet, we don't have cable. Y'all call me crazy, but at the same time, I'm going back to where we came from. I feel like our pendulum has swung so far away from what we were designed to live. And as chiropractors, we know this. Like, we're so far removed from our natural state. We see it in nervous systems, we see it in bodies, we see how it's showing up within systems, and something has to change. And I think that, I mean, maybe the pandemic was a good wake up call of getting back to our roots and getting back to living naturally. So that's what we do. I planted a big orchard in our front field. So we've got a 25 fruit tree orchard. We do our own beef. So we slaughter our own cows, we do our own beef, we get our own eggs, putting in an acre garden. So just teaching our kids the natural principles of living, that things take time. You know, I planted these fruit trees 2 years ago and they're still not yielding fruit. And my oldest, Amelia, she's like, Mom, like, when can I go pick some apples? And it's just instilling the values that, baby, things take time. It's not an instantaneous thing. And I think that living off the land and living more organically gives us some reminders, especially to our children. And that's how we shift into a generation. So mentally, physically, mentally, I'm going a little crazy because we're remodeling this old farmhouse, but I'm like, this will be worth it, right? I don't know. There's like a saw over here, sawdust over there. It's kind of chaotic, but then I just walk outside into the field and I see the sunset. I'm like, wow, like God's glory is so amazing because we can just be a part of this. And in the city, we can't do this. So for our mental, our physical health, we've kind of stepped back from the city living and getting back to our roots of true health and true living, and teaching our children that.
You know, that reminds me of an old country western song, Lukenbach, Texas.
Yes, I love that song. I've been to Lukenbach. Have you been to Lukenbach?
No.
Man, we got to go have a beer in Lukenbach. It's a good place. It's really fun.
But that's what it reminds me of, is like going back to the simpler times of living and loving.
Yeah,
and,
living and loving. And I feel like we all crave that. You know, like simplicity is something that I crave it anyways. And so we're just so
well, I
crazy.
think more people would crave it if they knew how good it was.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Yes.
And you are absolutely spot on. I think that more people need to have some digital detox in their life.
They do.
You know, I went and saw Cal Jam several years ago, but there was somebody presenting up there, and they were talking about digital dementia.
Yes.
And they're talking about how people that use too much tech have the same body postures of people that have dementia.
Wow.
And if
Absolutely.
you remove their phones and you put them next to somebody that has dementia, they represent the same posture.
It's side by side. Isn't that wild? I think that's amazing that you see. And then two, just like try to take a phone away from your life for a week. You know, I don't know if I could do it with everything that we do with trying to stay connected with businesses and things like that. But man, we need it. We need to step away from that and be in the moment. And that's why at Barefoot Retreats, it's a technology-free retreat. And so I take your phone at the beginning and I put it in a cage and I'm like, suckers. See how mentally healthy you are now. But then I'm like, I give them mezcal and everything's fine. But but no, and that's true. I just feel like my core values, they translate through everything that I do. And I think that that is a huge thing. So if you want a challenge, come on down to Tulum and I'll take your phone away. Yeah, now nobody's going to sign up. Cool.
So where do you see chiropractic finding itself in the next 20 years?
I think in 20 years, that's a long time from now. You guys will be pretty old, right? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I'll just let it out there. I'll be 62.
No, I think that we'll look back in 20 years and see that COVID had an impact on so much of our health and our mental health and how we viewed health. And I think that chiropractors, if we really step up, we're going to be the forefront, because who else is having these conversations of stepping back into our roots and stepping back to natural living and stepping back to natural health? And I think that what we do is we kind of bring hope to people. I mean, Tony Evil, he says, hey, we're hope dealers. And I completely agree. We bring hope to these people. And I think it's something in 20 years, we'll look back and we're the ones, if we stay true to who we are, we're teaching these natural principles. We're teaching these things that people, they crave. And I have these conversations on the table and I tell them about, hey, this is how your body was designed to do this. You were designed to be healthy. Your baby was innately healthy. We see it in that beautiful light. But at the same time, we have to remove the interference. We have to feed your body good food. We have to step, and it's just getting back to the basics. So I think if chiropractors can be in the forefront of getting back to the basics of living and of life, then I think that we will be absolutely thriving in the forefront of what we're doing.
And who have been some of your personal heroes or inspirations to get you to where you are today?
I mean, besides you guys, I mean, no, I think there's so many greats in our profession. Like we talked about DeMartini, Les Brown, like all these people that I've just sat at their feet and learned from. But this is actually kind of an embarrassing story. It's kind of weird, but kind of, you guys already know I'm weird. So every Friday in chiropractic school, I developed a mastermind group. And at Parker, they have Jim Parker's museum. And what we would do is me and 4 other people, we would go into Jim Parker's museum, and we would sit in the museum, and we would meditate, and then we would get up and we would start talking about the Parker principles. We'd start talking about BJ Palmer quotes. We'd just like really kind of dive into chiropractic philosophy and chiropractic and its roots and what it is, and in the presence of Jim Parker. So I never got to meet him, unfortunately, but I feel like we would have a really good time with a cigar and a glass of whiskey. So I'm a whiskey girl. And so we would just sit and drink and have a good old time. So I think I would probably say Jim Parker, but now maybe Jim Chester. Maybe you could be my Jim Parker. You can help me in all my business adventures.
just as long as you share drive time with me, okay? Because I get a lot done on my phone when I'm riding shotgun, okay?
No, it's digital detox. I'm taking your phone and throw it out the window.
That would make me laugh.
Did I make you laugh? Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and say this interview was a success. Thank you for coming.
All right, we're done. Chiro Hustle 269's in the books. See you, Courtney.
Bye. See y'all later.
Kidding.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So,
anyways,
so you work with a lot of pregnancies and prenatal work, right?
That's all I do. We're 90% women,
Okay.
And in pregnancy, birth, postpartum. Very, very passionate about that. So yes.
So one of the questions that we actually, this is a new interview question set we just rolled out like a
Okay,
month or two ago. And
nice.
I'm really excited about it because I think that it gives a really good like expose approach to the interview process when it comes to
Mhm.
telling your story. And then we bring you back. Like we have
Okay.
all this fun in the middle, talk business and strategies and, who would you like have dinner with if you could and all this stuff, or have a
Yeah,
glass of
for
whiskey with
sure.
if you could. And then
Yeah.
we ask you to tell us a miracle story. So
Oh man.
of all the
Yeah.
times that you've been working in your practice, what
Mhm.
is a miracle story that you would like to share with our audience today?
Um, Man, there's so many. And I think just the miracle of birth and the miracle of the fact that women can create life and that carry and steward souls into this world. I think that's a miracle that I get blessed to work with every day. But also, I will never forget the time. It was my third year in practice. And this baby, they came in, they referred to a pediatrician actually, sent them in. And I was sitting there in the consult and I had no idea what was going on, if we could help, what was happening. And it was the first time I really felt like, I don't know, like, do I need to refer out? And I was going through the exam. Baby was completely limp. The eyes couldn't focus. They were going out to the sides. And all cranial tests, all cranial nerves were just, it was all over the place, this exam. And I went home crying. And I was just like, what in the world? And I called my mentor and I was like, I don't, I have no idea what to do. I'm a young doctor. Like there's, and she looked at me, she was like, what were you born to do? And I was like, um, and she was like, adjust the baby. And I was like, okay, okay. So went back the next day and walked in and just talked to him. I was very honest and said, listen, I don't know if what we're going to do here is going to help and make a big impact, but I do know what I do. And I do know that I can clear this baby's nervous system and give them the best chance possible. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so I checked and I adjusted and I trusted my hands in that process. And and it wasn't like an immediate like, oh yeah, baby's cured. But I remember the third adjustment and I set that baby's atlas and the baby's eyes went back to center and looked at me and the baby smiled. And I like everybody in the room started crying. It was the most spiritual, impactful thing I've ever experienced in my life. And they obviously like they kept coming under care and it was just such a fun, like got to know them, got to grow with that baby. And they came a little bit early because they drove 2 hours to come in. And there was a lady coming in and she was a new consult. And hey, the dad was sitting there and she got up and I was like, hey, come on back. And he stood up and he grabbed her arm and he looked her dead in the eyes and he goes, your life is about to change. Whatever, like he literally like he grabbed her and he was just like, what, your life is about to change. And that impact that I had on that family, it was, I mean, it made it all worth it, right? Because literally it changed their life. It completely changed the trajectory. We gave them hope. And like it was, I was crying. I was like, oh my gosh, like what? And then I think she was kind of weirded out. She was like, oh, okay. Like I got some sciatic pain. But it was very impactful for me as a young chiropractor to hear and to actually see, like, we can talk a big talk. We say, oh, we're going to change lives and this and that. But whenever you're actually doing it and you see it and you trust your hands and you as a chiropractor, you move that nervous system, you allow that innate intelligence to flow within their bodies and to thrive as God designed them to, then I think that that's whenever the true miracle comes. And we're just a part of the journey for these people. And it's such an honor to be a part of that journey. So I guess that's a pretty good little miracle story, but I think that we could probably trade stories all day long of how amazing what we do is.
Well, I think, when you talk about the generational influence now, and
Yes.
I wish when, I got my first adjustment, I was 16. How old
Yes.
were you, Luke?
26.
So
Mhm.
26,
Yeah,
16.
I know. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I could just imagine had I got reared as
Yes,
a young boy from
absolutely.
like womb in my
From
mom
intro.
to
Yes.
like
And you talk
where I am
about literally
today.
exactly. It's amazing. And you talk about generational healing. Like that's a big part of my book as we dive into generational healing and what we're doing in the womb is really where preconception care begins. It begins in mother and taking the stress away from her and taking down cortisol levels and making a healthier placenta, like all that we do through the adjustment allows that baby a better start, allows their genetics to be expressed even better.
I'm going to share just a quick stat with you. 3
Okay.
years ago, I did 36 months of chiropractic screening events. I did
Okay.
636 months.
Wow, that's a
And I
lot.
scheduled in over 3,000 new patients during that span. Okay.
Amazing.
So
Humble
the
brag.
reason I'm sharing this with you is because a lot of times I'd see pregnant ladies,
Yes.
and I'd say, by the way, the first doctor I worked with flipped a baby in the womb and allowed the baby to come out normal, like a
Yeah.
normal canal pregnancy. And I was
Yeah.
like, and by the way, if you get adjusted during like your last term of carrying, you're going to have a quicker delivery.
Yeah.
And these like families are like, just like befuddled the fact that I'll actually tell them that if they go get adjusted, it's not about the pain. It's about the
No.
body's ability to relax and to actually like have a more fluid pregnancy and delivery.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I mean, yeah.
and I'm telling you, like some of these ladies that I'm talking to and their husbands that I'm like telling them to do, like, I'm just like, hey, this is my number one line. I don't live in your body, so I don't know what you're experiencing, but I know if you come in and talk to one of our doctors and you actually spend some time with them, they're going to do a full exam, a consultation, a health history. And I guarantee you one thing, we can help you.
Absolutely.
And people are like, how do I come in?
How do I do it? Yeah, absolutely. Because whenever you have confidence, faith, confidence, and belief in what your products, services, and ideas are, then I think that that's when people, they latch on and they realize. And just to speak a little bit about that, it's physiology. I always tell people you can't give birth while running from a tiger. What we do is we shift your body into a parasympathetic state for an easier mental and nervous system relaxed birth. And so I think that's, you can dive into the physical or you can dive into the physiological. And I think the physiological birth, it's important of what we're doing as chiropractors.
And then I tell him, Dr. Courtney, I'm like, look, and I'm not the doctor.
Yeah.
But I can schedule you to come in and see our doctor where you can ask them about anything that's concerning your health, things that you're not going to share with me right here. You can go see them.
Absolutely.
I was like, and for the fee that I charge you today, it's unheard of. No one else is ever going to do this. I'm like, it cost me more to take an Uber ride than it's going to take you to go into your business to see the doctor.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna need you to hire you out for these events. I'm gonna get you to do all my marketing for me now. So you just got another job. Good job.
I didn't know I could fish until now.
Hey, it's true.
Well, we are just about at the end of our time together. So what are some websites of yours that you can give our listeners if they want to learn more about you?
Definitely the Barefoot Mama. So www.thebarefootmama.com. You can get on the pre-order list of my book, and then you can sign up for the retreats that we're launching at the end of this week. We're doing 4 next year, and it'll be in Tulum, Cabo, Costa Rica, and then again back in Tulum. So you can learn all about those. And then we also have a Barefoot Mama Facebook group. So you can jump into the Facebook group and you will get first access and discount codes if you're in our Facebook group. And then if y'all know I have 4 businesses, so give me like 2 minutes. Free2bechiropractic.com is the chiropractic business. Nestbirth.com is the nest, and then dallasgrassfed.com is my beef business. So you can dive into all of those if you want to. It's a lot.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being our guest today on the Chiro Hustle podcast. Is there anything we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I mean, I think you guys covered it all. Like we talked about whiskey and DeMartini and like, what else, everything between. So I really had a good time with you guys. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being our guest today, and we want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. And I think the win is I got you to just crack a little smile and laugh a little bit. So I'm just counting that as my win today in Cabo.
Bad things happening to Jim's phone makes me laugh.
He'll wait to watch you throw my phone out the window.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll go just to see that.
Deal. That sounds good. It was good to meet you guys. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for being our guest today.
Yeah, absolutely.